playing on their phone.
And this is not a Texas.
Yeah, it's an out-of-state number.
Someone's messing with us.
Dude, we got a phone call from here saying that somebody was dead.
What?
Is there somebody else that lives on this property that has your address? What's your address?
No.
That's it.
That's it. That's what actually got.
We got an address. There was a gunshot and a woman scream.
What?
I'm serious. That's why we came up here like this, because and then they talked to the caller. Whoever they were talking to said that there's a person dead.
No, sir. No, sir.
Hello, my name is Tori. I'm from Mississippi, and I really hate how there's so much concern for her now that she's gone, and not when she was gone running around with who knows what. Now, the family is just as much to blame because of their negligence, and with so much information coming out, I'm really not sure who to believe, but what I do know is those parents should have taken more concern when their daughter was underage and not home. Where were you?
Reveal the Tesla data. As of October 13, 2025, the case is still in the initial investigation phase of the LAP Los Angeles Police Department. As of the latest updates available on October 13, 2025, the investigation into the death of Celeste Rivas Hernandez remains in its early stages under the direction of the LAP's Robbery Homicide Division. The primary reason for the slow pace and classification of the case is the severe decomposition of Celeste Rivas Hernandez's body, which was found on September 8, 2025, in the front trunk of David's abandoned Tesla. The body was deceased for several weeks before its discovery. The current investigation is officially classified as a death investigation, rather than a homicide investigation. This classification change occurred after the body was identified on September 16, 2025. Initially, the LA treated it as a homicide, but later withdrew that classification. The central roadblock preventing further legal action or classification is the LA County Medical Examiner (SME), whose role is to determine the cause and manner of death. Due to the decomposition, the cause and manner of death have not been determined, requiring in-depth testing. The ME has confirmed the body's identity through forensic testing and fingerprints, confirming the victim was Celeste Rivas Hernandez, age 15. They have also ruled out pregnancy. However, comprehensive toxicological and histopathology results, necessary for a final conclusion, can take several months, potentially 3 to 6 months. Until these results are available, the police lack the forensic evidence needed to identify a specific crime, such as murder, manslaughter, or overdose, and therefore cannot criminal culpability beyond concealment. In parallel with the ME's work, the LAPD is actively analyzing digital evidence. A search warrant was executed on David's Hollywood Hills rental home on September 18, 2025, the same day the body was identified. Police collected significant evidence, including computers, fingerprints, DNA, contact records, and other physical evidence. No additional search warrants have been publicly disclosed as of October 13. Crucially, the LAP is examining Tesla vehicle data, though no new public updates on this data have been made available as of October 13. Since the vehicle is registered to David, the Tesla stores detailed GPS, camera sensor, and door opening logs. Analyzing this data will help determine when the body was placed in the frunk, the vehicle's route, including reports of off-road markings that could indicate a disposal location, and who accessed the car. If this digital data places the vehicle or David in a suspicious location or links the vehicle to evidence found at David's home, it could lead to charges. However, for now, the investigation is delayed by the necessity of obtaining solid forensic evidence to support any potential charges. David is not considered an official suspect, and no criminal charges have been filed. As of October 13, 2025, David Anthony Burke has not been charged with any criminal offense relating to the death of Celeste Rivas Hernandez, and he is not considered an official suspect by the LAPD. The primary reason for the lack of charges and suspect status is the absence of evidence proving a criminal cause of death. The police need solid forensic evidence to avoid false accusations. The severe decomposition of the body means that while the case clearly points to the concealment of body, the cause of death has not been proven to be criminal, e.g., murder, manslaughter. Since the cause of death could potentially be an overdose, an accident, or natural causes, the police have stated there is currently no criminal culpability beyond concealment. The LAP maintains that the situation may change if new evidence from toxicology results or digital data becomes available. Furthermore, David has been cooperating fully with the LAPD throughout the investigation. The police have collected significant evidence from Ha's rental home after executing a search warrant on September 18, 2025, including DNA, fingerprints, and digital devices. David canceled his European tour shortly after the body was identified and released to the family. Despite his official status, David's actions surrounding the investigation have been viewed as suspicious by the online community and analysts. For example, David transferred ownership of 2 homes in Texas, Cypress and Hempstead from his trust fund to his mother's name on September 18 and September 2, 2025. Legal experts speculate that this action was intended to protect his assets from potential civil litigations, such as wrongful death lawsuits brought by Celeste's family. While this is a tactic to evade civil debt, it carries the risk of being accused of fraudulent transfer. The case has also been complicated by actions taken by the online community. On September 17, 2025, David's mother was the target of a sword and sent the fake 911 call reporting violence at her family home in Texas. The motive for the swatting is believed to be related to online vigilantes attempting to punish or coerce information from David. Analysts have warned that such dangerous, illegal actions are damaging the official investigation. Although David is not an official suspect for murder, some sources note that regardless of the death's cause, David was involved with a 15-year-old girl, indicating that he should not have been involved with the minor to begin with. The core investigative focus remains on determining the circumstances leading to Celeste's death and who placed her body in the Tesla's frunk. The analysis of the role of Tesla data in the death investigation of Celeste Rivas Hernandez is pivotal, as digital forensics represent one of the LAPD's primary avenues for reconstructing the critical timelines surrounding her death and subsequent concealment. The evidence gleaned from the vehicle, which is registered to David Anthony Burkiff, is currently being processed to build a comprehensive case, though this data faces distinct legal and forensic limitations, particularly regarding the ability to determine the cause of death. Data from the Tesla has not yet been made public in detail by the LAPD. As of the latest updates on October 13, 2025, there has been no public confirmation from either Tesla or the LAPD regarding the detailed contents of the vehicle data, such as GPS logs, camera recordings, or activity logs. Despite intense public scrutiny and speculation surrounding the investigation, the LAPD has not released any new public updates concerning this vital digital evidence. This restriction on public disclosure is typical of an ongoing investigation that relies heavily on digital reconstruction to verify witness accounts and other evidence collected via search warrants. Tesla stores important technical logs. The Tesla vehicle belonging to David is known to store an extensive amount of digital information that is crucial for forensic analysis. This stored technical data includes GPS location logs, camera recordings, sensor activity, and door opening logs. Specifically relevant to this case are the logs pertaining to the front trunk, where Celeste Rivas Hernandez's body was discovered severely decomposed. The ability of the car to log precise times for when the frunk was opened and closed, and potentially by whom SLIA the app or key fob, provides investigators with a technical advantage in reconstructing the movements of the body. This data allows the LAP to reconstruct a timeline. The primary investigative value of the Tesla data lies in its capacity to facilitate the accurate reconstruction of the timeline surrounding the events. By analyzing the sensor and door opening logs, the LAPD can determine exactly when the body was placed in the front trunk. This reconstruction is vital because the body was already deceased for several weeks before it was discovered on September 8, 2025. The LAD is actively analyzing the Tesla data with the intent of matching it with phone records or security camera data. A successful match would allow investigators to cross-reference David's known location and communications with the vehicle's activity logs, thereby narrowing the window during which the body was moved and concealed. If the data places the vehicle in a suspicious location, such as David's rental house, at the time the trunk was accessed, it could become strong evidence leading to charges. GPS data can reveal the vehicle's route and travel time. The GPS data stored by the Tesla is critical for revealing the vehicle's precise route and time of travel. This level of detail allows investigators to map out the exact paths the vehicle took in the weeks preceding its discovery abandoned on a Hollywood Hills street. Understanding the route of the vehicle is essential to the overall case, as the body's concealment represents a key criminal element being investigated. The GPS logs can pinpoint where the vehicle traveled, helping to substantiate or refute any theories about where Celeste may have died, or where David or an associated party attempted to dispose of the body. Signs of off-roading indicate potential body disposal location. Compounding the importance of the GPS data are the physical indicators found on the vehicle itself. There are confirmed reports of off-road markings on the Tesla. These markings suggest that the vehicle was driven on rough terrain. The existence of off-road markings is highly significant because it could indicate a location where the vehicle was driven to dispose of the body. Analysts speculate that the disposal site could have been in the suburbs, the mountains near LA, or perhaps even deserted areas, which might correlate with some online speculation about tunnels in Hollywood. The GPS data is being analyzed to reveal these specific travel points, which could turn the off-road markings into tangible evidence of the concealment efforts. Data is sufficient to prove concealment, but not the cause of death. This point represents the current legal and forensic deadlock of the investigation. While the Tesla data is extremely powerful in establishing a timeline, reconstructing vehicle movements, and linking David to the concealment, it is not sufficient to prove the official cause and manner of death. Evidence of concealment and link to David. The data, once analyzed, is expected to be adequate for proving the body hiding behavior. The vehicle is registered to David, and the logs would likely confirm that someone placed her body in the frunk. If the data corroborates the timeline and movement, it reinforces the finding that there is clear evidence pointing to the concealment of body. The police confirmed that David's house was searched and evidence collected, meaning they are actively seeking evidence to link him to the car and the events surrounding its abandonment. Inability to prove cause of death. The primary obstacle preventing criminal charges against David or anyone else is the LA County Medical Examiner report. The determination of the cause, the physical reason, like toxicology or injury, and the manner's homicide, accident, or natural of death is the exclusive and primary role of the ME, not the digital forensics team. Due to the severe decomposition of Celeste's body, the ME has been unable to reach any final conclusions. The decomposition makes it difficult to determine the time and cause of death. Consequently, the case is classified as a death investigation, rather than a homicide investigation. Until the comprehensive forensic results, specifically the toxicology and histopathology tests, are returned, a process expected to take 3 to 6 months. The police lack the solid forensic evidence required to identify a specific crime, such as murder, manslaughter. The current police stance is that there is no criminal culpability beyond concealment. Therefore, while the Tesla data may definitively prove who concealed the body and when, it cannot, by itself, determine if Celeste died from criminal circumstances, like foul play, or non-criminal circumstances, like an overdose, accident. New evidence found from David house. Or natural causes. A search warrant was executed on David's Hollywood Hills rental home on September 18, 2025. The execution of the search warrant marks a key development in the LAPD's investigation. The warrant was obtained for David's Hollywood Hills rental home and was executed on September 18, 2025. This action took place quickly after the investigation was officially opened, following the forensic identification of the body as Celeste Rivas Hernandez on September 16, 2025. The timing underscores the immediate priority given by the LAPD's Robbery Homicide Division to secure the potential scene of the crime or concealment. The search was necessary to preserve any evidence before it could be compromised, reinforcing the LAPD's determination to uncover the truth. It is worth noting the unique context of this date. On the same day the search warrant was executed, David initiated the transfer of ownership of one of his 2 homes in Texas from his trust fund to his mother's name. Legal experts speculate this action was likely taken to protect his assets from potential civil litigation, such as a wrongful death lawsuit, from Celeste's family. The transfer of the second property followed shortly thereafter on September 22, 2025. Police collected physical and digital evidence such as computers, communications data, fingerprints, and DNA samples. The search warrant provided LAPD with legal authority to collect a wide array of evidence necessary for modern forensic investigation. The sources confirmed that police gathered both physical and digital materials from the rental home, specifically including computers, fingerprints, DNA, contact records, and other physical evidence. This collection is critical because it offers multiple pathways to connect David directly to Celeste, the vehicle, and the concealment. Digital evidence, computers, and contact records. These items contain potential insight into David's state of mind, his actions leading up to the discovery of the body, and any attempts to communicate regarding the situation. Physical and biological evidence, DNA and fingerprints. These samples provide baseline data from David's primary residence that can be cross-referenced against traces found on the victim or inside the Tesla vehicle. David is reportedly cooperating fully with the LAPD. Despite his cooperation, the formal collection of evidence through a warrant ensures the integrity and admissibility of the materials in any future legal proceedings. The lack of additional public search warrants suggests that the evidence collected on September 18, 2025, is currently the primary focus for the digital forensics team. Communications data may reveal David's conversations or actions after his death, supporting the body hiding allegation. The communications data, contact records, collected via the search warrant is essential for analyzing David's behavior in the days and weeks preceding the discovery of the body. Currently, the investigation explicitly points to the concealment of body. Since the cause of death remains undetermined, proving the act of concealment is the immediate and most achievable legal goal for the LD. The digital data from David's devices can potentially reveal a consciousness of guilt. Any conversations, messages, or search history related to the disposal, abandonment of the vehicle, or specific locations, such as the Hollywood Hills or LA suburbs, could strongly support the allegation that David, or someone associated with him, concealed the body. Reconstruction of post-death actions. The APD is actively analyzing the Tesla vehicle data, GPS, sensor, and door logs to reconstruct the timeline. The communications data collected from David's house will be used to match it with phone or security camera data to verify David's location and actions during critical moments, such as when the frunk was opened to place or remove the body. This cross-verification is vital for linking David personally to the act of concealment, which is currently the only confirmed criminal activity. No criminal culpability beyond the concealment of her body. If DNA or blood from David's home, collected on September 18, matches traces found in the car, it could indicate Celeste was in David's home before her death. The forensic link between the rental house and the car is a key objective of the physical evidence analysis. The DNA and fingerprint samples collected from David's home on September 18, 2025, will be compared against any biological traces found in the Tesla, particularly in the frunk area where Celeste's body was discovered. If the blood DNA tests from David's house match traces in the car, such as blood or fluids, this would strongly suggest that Celeste at the house before her death. This finding is critical because the LAPD currently suspects that Celeste likely died or near David's rental home in the Hollywood Hills, several weeks before September 8, 2025, given the car was abandoned nearby. Matching DNA would establish a clear physical connection between the victim and David's residence, helping investigators solidify the probable location of her death and the initial events leading up to the concealment. However, the sources confirm that the LAPD has not yet confirmed whether the biological samples collected at David's home match any traces found in the car. Like the Tesla data, the evidence gathered from the current search warrant serves primarily to establish connections and timelines. This final point highlights the defining constraint of the entire investigation. The evidence gathered from the search warrant and the Tesla data are both powerful tools for establishing who was involved and when the events occurred, but they are insufficient to prove how Celeste died. Focus on connection and timeline. The evidence collected, including fingerprints, DNA, and communication records, is fundamentally aimed at reconstructing the timeline and establishing David's connection to Celeste and her subsequent placement in the vehicle. This process is crucial to move beyond mere speculation and link David definitively to the circumstances of the concealment. The forensic limitation. The largest hurdle that limits the scope of the search warrant evidence is the deferred status of the medical examinative report. Due to the severe decomposition of Celeste's body, the cause and manner of death, homicide, accident, overdose, natural, cannot be determined immediately. The ME requires comprehensive toxicology and histopathology results, a process estimated to take 3 to 6 months. Until these forensic results are available, the LAPD lacks the solid forensic evidence needed to identify a specific crime, such as murder, manslaughter. Therefore, even if the search warrant evidence proves conclusively that Celeste died inside David's house, and he subsequently placed her body in the frunk, the police cannot file criminal charges for a serious offense like homicide. The sources repeatedly emphasize that until new evidence from the ME is available, there is currently no criminal culpability beyond concealment. This limitation dictates that the primary legal function of all digital and physical evidence collected via the search warrant is to be the strongest possible case regarding the timeline and the act of concealment. The behavior exhibited by David and his family, specifically the calculated transfer of substantial real estate assets and the subsequent, dangerous online-driven attack known as swatting, has dominated public discussion and speculation surrounding the death investigation of Celeste Rivas Hernandez. These actions, while not constituting criminal evidence in the death itself, offer critical insights into the protective measures being taken by the Burke family amidst the intense scrutiny of the LAPD investigation. David's decision to rapidly restructure his personal financial holdings has been viewed by legal analysts as a preemptive measure against potential legal liabilities arising from the case. David transferred the ownership deeds of 2 properties located in the Houston, Texas area, Cypress and Hempstead, from his trust fund into a trust for his mother, Patricia Burke. The transfers occurred on 2 specific dates, September 18, 2025 and September 26, 2025. The transfers were highly conspicuous due to their proximity to major developments in the LAPD investigation. September 16, 2025. Celeste forensically identified. September 18, 2025. The search warrant for David's Hollywood Hills rental home was executed, and the first property transfer occurred. September 22, 2025. The second property transfer took place. The properties are estimated to be valued at approximately $1 million each. By moving these assets, David effectively transferred control of a significant portion of his wealth to his mother's name. The primary interpretation provided by legal experts in the sources is that this rapid asset transfer was designed to protect David's wealth from potential civil litigation. In the context of the current criminal investigation, where the LAPD has found no criminal culpability beyond the concealment of her body, the possibility remains that David could face a civil lawsuit for wrongful death from Celeste Rivas Hernandez's family, regardless of the outcome of the criminal case. Legal systems differentiate criminal and civil proceedings. Even if a person is acquitted in a criminal trial, they can still be held financially responsible in a civil trial, a situation likened to the O.J. Simpson case. If David were to lose a civil lawsuit, a court could potentially order him to pay substantial compensation to the family. By transferring the homes out of his personal trust, David aimed to ensure that if he were found liable, there would not be enough assets in his name for a debtor like Celeste's family to claim against. These actions are seen as a way to shelter assets or engage in smart legal practicing, orchestrated by specialized legal or financial advisors. While the goal of asset protection is understandable in this legal context, the actions are not without risk. Legal experts warn that the trade could be subject to an accusation of fraudulent conveyance or fraudulent transfer. Fraudulent conveyance laws generally apply when property is transferred to another party specifically to prevent, hinder, or delay the collection of a debt owed by the party making the transfer. If it were proven in court that David's explicit intent was to evade financial liability arising from the potential lawsuit, this tactic could be challenged. However, the exact legal consequences would depend on the complex laws governing asset structuring in Texas and California. For now, the transfers are considered shady and have naturally aroused public suspicion, but they are viewed as a civil or financial maneuver, not criminal evidence pertaining to Celeste's death. Adding a dangerous dimension to the family's ordeal was the swatting incident targeting David's family home in Texas, which underscores the negative impact of emotionally charged online investigations. The swatting occurred on September 17, 2025, the day immediately following the official identification of Celeste's body. The location targeted was the David family home in Cypress, Texas. The incident involved a fake 911 call made by an anonymous individual using a voice changer or AI to alter their voice, reporting that there had been gunshots and that a woman had been shot to death at the address. The response from the Harris County Sheriff's deputies was immediate and serious, mobilizing a task force to the address. Body camera footage released by the media showed officers approaching the home with guns drawn, ordering the occupants out. David's parents, including his mother Patricia Burke and potentially his 8-year-old sister, cooperated. The police checked the home for approximately 20 minutes before determining it was a swatting incident and leaving. The incident caused panic but resulted in no casualties. The swatting is generally understood to be the work of online vigilantes, or cyber detectives. Following the highly publicized case, the motive is believed to be an attempt to harass, coerce information, or punish David and his family amidst the highly emotional and speculative atmosphere surrounding the investigation. The online community, particularly Gen Z users who are highly engaged in conspiracy theories such as tunnels in Hollywood, is driving the narrative, which has led to these dangerous illegal acts. Legal analysts and public commentators, like Mutahar Some Ordinary Gamers, have strongly condemned the swatting, emphasizing that such illegal actions are damaging the official investigation. Swatting is a serious crime in the U.S., punishable by up to 5 years in prison, and carries the grave risk of causing injury or death to innocent people. David's father was captured on bodycam saying, "Someone's messing with us," underscoring the family's realization that they were targeted due to the investigation. Despite the intense pressure from the public and the illegal actions targeting their home, the David family has maintained a consistent strategy of legal cooperation and public silence. David is confirmed to be cooperating fully with the LAPD investigation. As a consequence of the investigation and the required cooperation, David canceled his European tour. Furthermore, David and his family, including his mother Patricia Burke, have not made any public statements regarding the case. This public silence, combined with the visible legal maneuver of asset transfer and the cancellation of his tour, is interpreted as a coordinated legal strategy focused on protection and compliance. These actions, though prudent from a legal perspective, cooperating with the police while protecting assets, have simultaneously fueled public suspicion. However, it is repeatedly stressed by the LAPD and analysts that these behaviors are not currently considered criminal evidence related to the cause of Celeste's death. The ultimate determination of criminal culpability still awaits the results of the comprehensive toxicology and histopathology tests, which are delayed by the severe decomposition of the body and are expected to take several months. The complete timeline. The investigation into the death of Celeste Rivas Hernandez has involved a complex interplay of missing persons reports, forensic delays, digital analysis, and highly publicized legal maneuvers by David Anthony Burke. As of October 13, 2025, the case remains officially classified as a death investigation, rather than a homicide, due to pending forensic results. Below is a detailed analysis of the major confirmed events leading up to the investigation's current status on October 13, 2025. The investigation into the death of Celeste Rivas Hernandez has involved a complex interplay of missing persons reports, forensic delays, digital analysis, and highly publicized legal maneuvers by David Anthony Burke. As of October 13, 2025, the case remains officially classified as a death investigation, rather than a homicide, due to pending forensic results. February 20, April 2025. Celeste's history and association with David. The sources establish a relationship between Celeste Rivas Hernandez and David that began well before the discovery of her body. Celeste, who was 14 at the time, first went missing from her home in Lake Elsinore, California in February 2024. Social media connection. Evidence suggests Celeste met David through social media, with a video stream featuring the pair noted in January 2024. Law enforcement had at least some understanding of this relationship, as noted by statements that David, described as a rapper in LA, came and got her. Repeated runaways. Celeste had a history of running away multiple times. Authorities were frequently called to her home in Lake Elsinore, CA due to family issues requiring multiple visits from Riverside County officials, both before and after she went missing. April 2024 disappearance. Celeste went missing again with the official report filed on April 5, 2024. Information indicates she ran to Los Angeles to meet David, was subsequently found by cops in Hollywood, and brought back home. Final disappearance April 2025. Although the sources note an official missing report in April 2024, the timeline provided in the query references April 2025 as the date Celeste 15 went missing for the last time. She was 15 years old by September 2025. It is unclear exactly when she died, but investigators speculate she likely died several weeks before September 8, 2025, perhaps at or near David's rental home in the Hollywood Hills. In August 2025, David began his world tour for his album, Withered. Around the same time, his Tesla vehicle was abandoned on a street in the Hollywood Hills near his rental house. The car sat abandoned for several weeks in a highly conspicuous Hollywood Hills area, where it was eventually noticed by parking enforcement, which placed a line on the tire. The negligence and visibility of the abandoned car remain a big question mark in the investigation. The body was deceased for several weeks inside the vehicle before its discovery, leading to the severe decomposition that has complicated the forensic investigation. Discovery and initial investigation phase. September 8, 2025. Discovery of the decomposed body. On September 8, 2025, the investigation officially began. Discovery location. The vehicle was towed to an LA tow yard due to illegal parking after sitting abandoned for quite some time. Employees at the tow yard detected a foul odor emanating from the car, which triggered the investigation. Body found. A decomposed body in the front trunk of the Tesla. This discovery occurred one day after Celeste's 15th birthday. Initial classification. The LAPD opened an investigation, initially treating the case as a homicide, but later withdrew that classification. On September 16, 2025, the body was identified through forensic testing and fingerprints as Celeste Rivas Hernandez, age 15, from Lake Elsinore, CA. Forensic findings. The LA County Medical Examiner, MEV, confirmed the identity and ruled out pregnancy. However, due to severe decomposition, the cause and manner of death were deferred. Legal actions, asset protection, and harassment. September 17, 2025, family swatting incident. One day after Celeste's identification, the David family became the target of harassment. On September 17, 2025, a swatting incident occurred at David's family home in Cypress, Texas. The hoax. The anonymous caller used a voice changer or AI to tell 911 that there had been gunshots and a woman had been shot to death at the address. Police response. Harris County Sheriff's deputies responded with a task force, approaching the home with guns drawn and ordering the occupants out. David's parents, including his mother Patricia Burke, and possibly his 8-year-old sister, cooperated. The police determined the call was a hoax after about 20 minutes. Motive. The swatting is believed to have been carried out by online vigilantes, or cyber detectives, attempting to punish or coerce from the family amid the intense online discussion and conspiracy theories surrounding the case. Bodycam footage captured David's father saying, "Someone's messing with us." This date saw simultaneous actions concerning David's legal defense and the progression of the police investigation. Search warrant executed. A search warrant was obtained for David's Hollywood Hills rental home and was executed on September 18, 2025. Police collected critical evidence, including computers, fingerprints, DNA, contact records, and other physical evidence. The police noted that this data could provide insight into David's actions after the death, supporting the concealment allegation. Asset transfer, first home. On the same day, David began the process of moving his substantial assets. He transferred ownership of one of his 2 homes in Texas, Cypress, from his trust fund into a trust for his mother, Patricia Burke. Legal experts speculate this was done to protect assets, worth about $1 million, from potential civil lawsuits by Celeste's family. Such a move, however, risks being classified as fraudulent conveyance if proven to be an intentional attempt to evade debt collection. September 22. David transferred ownership of the second Texas home Hempstead to his mother's name. September 23. Celeste's body was released to the family for burial. Concurrently, David canceled his European tour. Canceling the tour allowed him to remain available to cooperate with the LAPD, which he has done fully. The subsequent days saw minimal new forensic evidence but clarified the official status of the investigation. September 29, 2025. The LAP confirmed that its robbery-homicide division was diligently investigating the death and that the car had been parked for several weeks. September 30, 2025. LAD confirmed Celeste may have died several weeks earlier and that pregnancy had been ruled out. October 6, 2025. TMZ released the full audio of the swatting call, confirming the use of a voice changer. October 7, 2025. Celeste Rivas Hernandez at the Queen of Heaven Cemetery, Rowland Heights, CA. Status on October 13, 2025. As of this date, the case is still in the early stages. No criminal charges have been filed, and David is not considered an official suspect. The LAP continues to classify the case as a death investigation, because the cause and manner of death are deferred, pending toxicology and histopathology results, which may take 3 to 6 months. While there is clear evidence of the concealment of body, the LAP maintains there is currently no criminal culpability beyond concealment. No major public updates on the crucial Tesla data or forensic matches from the search warrant have been released. The public silence. Nearly 2 months after Celeste Rivas Hernandez's body was discovered inside the Tesla, Los Angeles feels suspended in a strange, uneasy silence. The case that once dominated headlines has drifted into that gray zone where the police speak only in fragments, the media repeats the same few lines, and the internet fills the void with noise. Detectives are waiting for DNA, for toxicology, for digital trails buried deep in encrypted phones and hard drives. The medical examiner's office has already hinted the results could take weeks or months. In high-profile cases like this, months can easily mean half a year. Each day without an arrest feeds the online fury, the whispers that justice has stalled, or worse, that fame is shielding someone from consequence. Behind the scenes, the LAP's homicide division works methodically. Every byte of data seized from David's devices, phones, laptops, cloud backups, deleted Discord chats must pass through digital forensics. These experts reconstruct timelines down to seconds. When the Tesla's trunk opened, when the GPS stopped moving, when the Bluetooth paired or disconnected. The medical examiner's lab focuses on time of death, cause, and chemical traces. Was Celeste drugged, suffocated, or already dead before being dismembered? Analysts will cross-reference those findings with surveillance, toll booth pings, and delivery timestamps. The smallest misstep of a contaminated sample, an incomplete warrant, could compromise the case. That's why detectives move slow, painfully slow. But that slowness also gives oxygen to conspiracy theories. Reddit threads map secret coordinates. From TikTok videos, Discord users claim to have screenshots of private messages. YouTube sleuths build timelines frame by frame, using the reflections in David's sunglasses or the shadow patterns on his Tesla. Every new clip becomes a piece of evidence. Every silence is reinterpreted as guilt. Police warn that such online investigations can backfire. Cyber sleuthing may taint witnesses, spread misinformation, or trigger swatting false emergency calls that put real people in danger. In Celeste's case, several users have already been targeted after posting theories that name possible accomplices. Still, the internet refuses to stop. For many, the lack of official answers becomes proof that there's something being hidden. Even if prosecutors never bring a murder charge, the legal consequences for those involved may not end. If investigators find evidence that the Tesla was knowingly moved, cleaned, or concealed, charges for tampering with a corpse, obstruction, or concealment of a body could follow. Another angle, luring a minor. If digital communications prove that David initiated contact with Celeste when she was underage, even in the guise of mentorship, or the law can reclassify that as grooming or exploitation. Each charge might seem smaller than murder, but together, they build a wall of accountability. Prosecutors often call it the Al Capone approach. If you can't yet prove the big crime, you start with the ones you can. Celeste's family has remained publicly composed, but beneath that composure lies fury. Her mother's brief interview outside their Houston home, "Someone will pay for what happened to my daughter," reverberated across social media. Civil attorneys have already approached them about a wrongful death suit and civil compensation. Such lawsuits don't require beyond reasonable doubt. Only a preponderance of evidence. If they can demonstrate that David's negligence relation directly led to Celeste's death, and if the suspicious transfer of assets in his name is proven to be a cover-up, the family could win millions. It's not about money, it's about visibility. Civil cases keep the story alive when criminal ones stall. David's silence has become its form of communication. No interviews, no posts, no statements through PR teams. His YouTube channel lies dormant, his Spotify comments are locked. Fans read this quietly as confession, detractors call it legal strategy. Forensic psychologists describe such behavior as retreat under counsel. Once a suspect becomes a person of interest, anything he says, a lyric, a live stream, even an emoji can be interpreted as evidence. Lawyers always advise silence. But in the court of public opinion, silence is a verdict. Public sympathy leans heavily toward Celeste. She's 15, too young to consent, too trusting, too easily consumed by the world she idolized. Hashtags like Justice for Celeste and Protect Your Girls have flooded TikTok. For every fan defending David, hundreds more accuse him of exploitation. The outrage has evolved into a broader debate. Should influencers be allowed unfiltered access to minors? Why aren't fan-artist relationships monitored when they blur into obsession? Where were the platforms TikTok, Discord, Instagram when it mattered? This shift means the story no longer belongs solely to detectives or lawyers. It belongs to culture. Streaming platforms face their own crisis. Spotify's algorithm continues to push David's songs, even as comment sections fill with anger. Some fans boycott, others argue Hort should be separate from the artist. YouTube demonetized several fan edits containing crime scene imagery, triggering another backlash over censorship. The platforms tread carefully, waiting for an arrest before taking decisive action. But their hesitation is read as complicity. In 2025's climate, neutrality equals guilt. The press operates in cycles: shock, saturation, silence, revival. After the initial frenzy, major outlets now re-enter the story through follow-up documentaries and exposes. Reporters from Rolling Stone and Vanity Fair are already contacting witnesses and reconstructing the final days of Celeste's life. These pieces often reignite interest and pressure. Prosecutors know that media attention can force their hand. No district attorney wants to be seen as the one who let a celebrity walk free. Behind closed doors, that fear can influence decisions. At the heart of everything lies data. Deleted messages, hidden folders, time-stamped edits. Forensic software can resurrect conversations, long-buried fragments of texts, metadata from photos, location histories from cloud backups. If investigators uncover messages showing premeditation, grooming, threats, or coordination, it could shift the case overnight. Conversely, if no direct link surfaces, the criminal case may wither. That's why every prediction hinges on the ME report and the digital timeline. Together, they form the spine of this investigation. 3 months in, the story may fade from trending pages. 6 months in, public fatigue sets in. Without arrests, people move on unless something reignites them: a leak, a statement, a new piece of evidence. If nothing substantial emerges by then, the case could quietly close without criminal charges. Police might reclassify it as undetermined death, a bureaucratic limbo that satisfies no one. Civil litigation, however, could stretch for years. It's slower but relentless, an echo chamber of justice when criminal courts fall silent. Even if he never faces prison, David's career may already be over. Promoters cancel tours, brands cut contracts, and record labels pause cooperation. Public image is currency, and he is bankrupt. Fans revisit lyrics for hidden meanings. She's my obsession. You're never leaving. What once sounded like teenage melancholy now reads as prophecy. Art is weaponized against its creator. Fame, once his armor, becomes evidence. When official justice feels out of reach, people create their own. Online detectives map David's known locations. Others track anyone linked to his friends, ex-collaborators, producers. The digital mob operates without rules or mercy. Swatting becomes common. False reports to police about supposed confessions or evidence dumps. Innocent people get doxxed, threatened, harassed. What began as collective empathy morphs into collective cruelty. Experts call it vigilante voyeurism, the impulse to feel powerful by participating in punishment. The Celeste case exposes a paradox: society demands transparency, yet despises intrusion. We want answers, but recoil when investigations reveal too much. Should YouTubers dissect autopsy leaks? Should TikTokers dramatize a 15-year-old's final hours for likes? The outrage machine blurs the line between justice and entertainment. Each new video claiming to expose the truth pushes the real truth further away. Evidence becomes content, grief becomes a trend. Lawmakers in California and Texas are quietly drafting new proposals on minor influencer protections. These include mandatory background checks for artists collaborating with minors and stricter verification for private communications. Celeste's name may appear in those bills, not as a victim but as a catalyst. History shows tragedy often precedes reform. John Bennett Ramsey's death reshaped child pageant regulations. Celeste's could redefine digital boundaries. Sources close to the department describe a cautious approach. Detectives are building from the outside in, starting with vehicle forensics, then digital evidence, then interpersonal connections. They've already re-interviewed Celeste's online circle Discord moderators, fan group admins, even one anonymous user claiming to have seen disturbing voice memos. These accounts will be verified, their IPs cross-checked. But every leak risks contamination. Once details hit social media, defense lawyers can argue jury prejudice. So the LAP keeps its cards close, even at the cost of public trust. For Gen Z, David represents a cautionary tale of parasocial obsession. For older generations, he embodies moral decay in the digital age. Talk show debates pit cancel culture against due process, blurring justice with spectacle. Sociologists note that these cultural clashes often decide how a case is remembered. It's not just about guilt or innocence, it's about narrative control. Who tells the story and who gets silenced? Every era has its fallen idols: R. Kelly, Sextentation, Marilyn Manson. David's saga fits that lineage, but with a modern twist. The evidence isn't hidden in basements or diaries, it's online. Timestample. His downfall reveals a generation's blind spot, believing online charisma equals real-world morality. Celeste followed a persona, not a person. When the mask cracks, everyone feels betrayed: fans, parents, and even the media that helped build him. Justice may not arrive in a single headline. It might emerge in fragments: a small conviction, a quiet settlement, a song removed from playlists. The courts will decide what's provable. The internet will decide what's forgivable. Somewhere between those two verdicts lies the truth. If the Emmy report confirms homicide, if the digital trail aligns, if the family presses their civil claim, the story could explode again, this time with closure. If not, Celeste's case may join the long list of unresolved modern tragedies, names trending for a week, then fading into hashtags of the past. If no new evidence surfaces within the next 3 to 6 months, no DNA link, no confession, no recovered messages, the criminal case may stall indefinitely. The LAP could close it as pending investigation, leaving room to reopen if new data arises. By early October 2025, the Celeste Rivas Hernandez case had entered a new phase. The panic, the protests, the fury online all began to settle into something quieter, more deliberate. Now, it was the mainstream media's turn to speak. Major outlets: News People, News Nation, ABC 7, Yahoo began releasing carefully worded updates. The gossip sites that once thrived on chaos suddenly sounded cautious. The tone had changed. The story of a dead teenager in a Tesla was no longer a rumor. It was evidence, statements, silence, and grief. The first official voice to emerge was Josh Marshall, manager of the artist known as David. In a brief but heavily circulated statement, he said David has been cooperating fully with the Los Angeles Police Department since the very beginning. He has no connection to the tragic death of this young woman. Any claims suggesting otherwise are false and deeply hurtful. No cameras, no interviews, only words through a press release. But those few sentences became the center of the storm. To some, the statement felt defensive. To others, it was long overdue. It confirmed what the public had been waiting to hear. The singer was not hiding, at least not from the law. Media analysts dissected the tone. There were no condolences for the victim, no emotional appeal, no "we grieve with the family." Every word was legal, deliberate, sanitized. It wasn't a man speaking to his audience, it was a team of lawyers speaking to a jury that didn't yet exist. For a generation used to instant apology videos and tearful live streams, the coldness was startling. But behind the precision was strategy. Every syllable was designed to keep the artist out of criminal narrative range. On October 7, 2025, cameras gathered quietly outside Queen Heaven Cemetery in Roland Heights, California. The burial of Celeste Rivas Hernandez was not open to the public. Family members arrived in black sedans escorted by private security. There were no speeches broadcast, no social media posts, no press conference. News described the atmosphere as somber, almost secret. People magazine noted that even distant relatives declined interviews. No one from the entertainment world was seen there. No flowers bore the name of the artist once rumored to have loved her. The silence of that day said more than any interview could. Journalists stationed at the cemetery captured no images of Celeste's mother, but a whisper spread among reporters: she had spoken briefly, away from microphones. Only saying, "Let her rest, please." Those words never aired, but they shaped coverage. From that moment on, even the most aggressive tabloids began tempering their tone. The story was shifting from crime speculation to human tragedy. Then came the autopsy update, and with it, a major correction. Several early online rumors had claimed the body was dismembered or mutilated. The Hindustan Times and other international outlets, citing Los Angeles County sources, published a direct contradiction. The remains of Celeste Rivas Hernandez were intact. There were no signs of dismemberment. Cause of death remains undetermined pending toxicology. That single clarification shattered weeks of sensational misinformation. It didn't solve the mystery, but it pulled the story back toward reality. For the public, this detail mattered. It meant the case might not be as grotesque as once imagined. But it also revealed something darker: how easily the truth had been distorted in the first place. Journalists began tracing how those rumors had begun: a misinterpreted police radio log, a mistranslated phrase, a thumbnail from an unverified video. In modern true crime culture, fiction often precedes fact. Now, official reports were forcing everyone to look again. Comparing the first week headlines to those in October tells a story of evolution. Early September, pop stars Tesla found with teen's body. Fans fear the worst. October, family lays teen to rest. Autopsy clarifies key misinformation. LAPD confirms no suspect named. The transformation from chaos to composure is what defines this chapter of the case. The press, once accused of feeding hysteria, was now performing damage control. One News Nation journalist later admitted, off record, "We were part of the problem at first. Everyone wanted clicks. Then we saw the funeral photos that changed everything. Grief humanized the numbers. Celeste stopped being a headline and became a person again. Police updates continued to emphasize caution: no cause of death, no toxicology release, no timeline for further comment." Behind those silences, however, journalists sensed bureaucracy at work: reports circulating between the coroner's office, digital forensic labs, and the district attorney's office. Every newsroom wanted the scoop, but no one wanted to be wrong again. The Hindustan Times coverage brought the case to a global audience. In India, the story trended under Justice for Celeste, not as scandal, but as commentary on global youth culture and the dangers of idolization. The article's factual tone, emphasizing the intact condition of the body and the pending results, contrasted sharply with earlier Western tabloid frenzy. It reminded readers that objectivity still mattered. For David, each new report became both a relief and reminder. Relief because the police had publicly cleared him as a suspect. Reminder because every headline still paired his name with death. Even neutrality could not save a reputation built on public intimacy. Silence, once strategic, had turned to isolation. Industry insiders whispered that streaming platforms were hesitant to promote his catalog until the case was fully resolved. In the entertainment world, uncertainty is as lethal as guilt. Publicists know silence can protect, but it can also suffocate. Weeks of quiet allowed the media narrative to define him without his participation. When people reported, "No comment from the artist," it became shorthand for avoidance. Fans who once defended him began to drift away, unsure what to believe. In the absence of words, perception hardened. Amid the noisy, news ran a quieter piece, a portrait of Celeste drawn from her classmates and teachers. She wanted to sing. She wrote poems about the ocean. It was a brief moment of restoration. For once, her name appeared without his. Just Celeste, a child, not a case file. Since the funeral, the Rivas Hernandez family has avoided all cameras. Their lawyer handles all inquiries, releasing only one sentence. The family asks for privacy and awaits official results. That boundary became sacred. Reporters learned to stop knocking. It was the rare instance where grief drew an unbreakable line between public and private. Television networks began adapting the story into cautionary segments. ABC 7's evening special titled, "The Dangers of Online Obsession," used the case as a framework not to assign blame, but to examine how quickly young fans can be drawn into emotional dependency. Psychologists and social workers spoke, not lawyers. The tone was educational, not accusatory. It marked a national shift. The case had moved from crime coverage to cultural reflection. By mid-October, the headlines grew shorter. Each update was smaller, factual, stripped of speculation. The case had entered its maintenance phase. The long climber: truth and memory slowly diverge. Some reporters compared it to the John Bennett Ramsey arc. Initial outrage, tabloid saturation, then institutional fatigue. The difference was that this story lived in the algorithm age. It never truly disappeared, only recycled. While the media recalibrated, investigators continued working out of view. The ME's office prepared toxicology summaries. The Digital Forensics Division analyzed timestamp patterns from recovered drives. No details leaked. That silence, paradoxically, became the loudest sound in the story. For every article printed, 1,000 questions remained. Producers at streaming networks and podcast studios watched the case carefully. They knew that once official files closed, the story would be reborn in documentaries, docuseries, and dramatizations. For them, accuracy now meant credibility later. The restraint of News and People was not just ethics, it was future-proofing. They were archiving reality before the dramatizations began. Behind the scenes, record labels quietly reviewed their protocols for artists' interactions with fans. Some introduced new guidelines for online engagement and age verification in meet and greets. No one mentioned Celeste by name, but everyone understood why. The music industry had learned, painfully, that boundaries could mean survival for both artists and admirers. Josh Marshall remained the single public voice for months. In private circles, he was said to be exhausted, juggling legal consultation, media coordination, and the emotional collapse of a young star under scrutiny. Friends described him as torn between loyalty and damage control. He became both shield and spokesman, a role no manager seeks. There are no more exclusive leaks, no late-night revelations, no viral hashtags. Just the quiet persistence of journalists waiting for official papers. For the first time since the story began, the coverage feels responsible. It no longer feeds fear, it records history. Before she became a headline, before the photos of police tape and Teslas, she was simply Celeste Rivas Hernandez, a quiet girl from Lake Elsinore, California, who dreamed of music, fashion, and a world far larger than the one she knew. At 15, she was still growing into herself, shy at school, restless at home, fiercely loyal to her friends online. Her social media pages were filled with pastel filters, song lyrics, and selfies that tried to look confident but often didn't hide the sadness behind her eyes. She wasn't famous. She wasn't rich. But she was searching for connection, and that search would lead her straight into danger. Lake Elsinore sits roughly halfway between Los Angeles and San Diego, a stretch of desert and lake water, where neighborhoods flicker between comfort and hardship. Celeste's family lived in one of those quiet suburban blocks where houses look the same but the stories inside are different. Neighbors recall shouting at night, police visits, and the sound of slamming doors. The Riverside County Sheriff's Department confirmed that officers had been called to the home multiple times in the years before Celeste's disappearance. Reports of family disturbances, runaway juvenile, and welfare checks. None of the incidents led to criminal charges. But they painted a picture of a household under strain. Celeste's name had appeared in police logs before September 2025. She'd gone missing several times, sometimes for a few hours, sometimes for days. Each time, she returned tired, withdrawn, refusing to say where she'd been. Her friends later told reporters that Celeste often spoke about needing to get away. She felt unseen at home, misunderstood by adults, and suffocated by rules that didn't match her online world. The internet offered her something her environment couldn't: validation, attention, and escape. Through that digital world, she found David, the rising star whose songs blended heartbreak with devotion. Like thousands of other fans, Celeste followed him religiously. But unlike most, she caught his attention. It started with comments, then direct messages, then private servers and exchanges late into the night. Friends say she called him David, not David. To her, he was real, not a celebrity, but someone who listened. No one knows exactly when the boundaries are blurred. Police confirmed that their first online contact may have been as early as 2022, when Celeste was barely 13. What began as admiration turned into an emotional tether neither fully understood, or maybe one did. Inside the Rivas Hernandez home, Celeste's behavior became erratic. Her grades slipped. She spent hours on her phone, hiding her screen when the family entered the room. Arguments escalated. She ran away more often, each time staying gone longer. According to one report from Riverside County deputies, officers visited the residence in mid-2024 after a call described verbal altercation involving a juvenile female. No charges followed, but it marked the start of frequent welfare checks. Her family tried counseling, church groups, even relocating her temporarily to stay with relatives, but nothing seemed to anchor her. The last time her mother saw her was early September 2025. Celeste said she was going to meet friends. When she didn't return that night, her family reported her missing again. They'd done it before, but this time she didn't come back. For nearly 2 weeks, her phone was silent. Then, on September 8, hundreds of miles away in Los Angeles, the trunk of a Tesla was opened and the nightmare began. When the Los Angeles County Medical Examiner received the remains, it took days to confirm identity. The body was decomposed, but fingerprint analysis finally matched records from Riverside County. On September 3, 2025, the coroner's office officially released the remains to her family. Autopsy findings confirmed there were no signs of dismemberment, contradicting early rumors. There were also no indications of pregnancy or sexual assault at that stage, details that help protect her memory from further violation. The official paperwork called it pending toxicology. For the family, those words meant little. All they knew was that their daughter was gone. 2 weeks later, on October 7, Celeste was laid to rest at Queen of Heaven Cemetery in Rowland Heights, California. It was a private ceremony, small, unannounced, attended only by close relatives and a few childhood friends. No media were allowed inside. Security kept cameras at a distance. A white casket, pink roses, a song she once loved playing softly through portable speakers. No one from the entertainment industry appeared. No statements, no apologies, no public gestures, only the silence of mourning. Though no civil lawsuit has been filed publicly, sources close to the family told reporters that legaling the possibility of pursuing wrongful death litigation once the criminal findings are finalized. The focus, they say, would be on financial accountability, particularly if evidence surfaces that the artist or his management concealed or transferred assets to avoid responsibility. But for now, the family waits. They know that grief is already a full-time burden and courtrooms can wait their turn. The potential legal risk. As of October 13, 2025, the case remains open, not solved, not forgotten, suspended somewhere between rumor and evidence. The body has been buried, the autopsy completed, the statements released, yet the most essential question still hangs unanswered. How did Celeste Rivas Hernandez die? The Los Angeles Police Department continues to treat the matter as an active investigation. Detectives wait for the final toxicology report, the scientific key that could finally determine whether Celeste's death was accidental, drug-related, or the result of something far darker. Until that result arrives, everything else remains speculation. At the heart of that uncertainty stands one man, David, known to millions as David. His name has never appeared on a warrant, never been listed as a suspect, yet it shadows every headline. He is both witness and symbol of the artist entangled in tragedy, the public figure trapped between silence and accusation. For him, the danger has shifted from criminal liability to civil vulnerability. While the police build their forensic timeline, attorneys quietly study his assets, contracts, and recent transfers. If the victim's family decides to sue, the courtroom could reopen the story even if the LAP does not. Civil litigation rarely carries the drama of a murder trial, but its consequences can be devastating. A wrongful death lawsuit could target not only David himself, but also his management, record label, or any affiliated entity that benefited from his income. The claim would not need to prove murder, only negligence, emotional harm, or indirect responsibility. If investigators later confirm that financial transfers were made to conceal wealth after Celeste's death, the narrative could turn overnight from tragedy to cover-up. In such cases, perception often punishes faster than the law. All eyes now turn to the laboratory. The toxicology results expected in late fall will define the next phase of the case. If traces of narcotics, sedatives, or controlled substances appear, especially those connected to individuals in David's circle, the LAP could reclassify the death as involuntary manslaughter or criminal negligence. If the results show nothing unusual, investigators may close the file as undetermined, ending criminal pursuit but leaving moral questions intact. Either way, that report will be the last scientific word in a story driven mostly by emotion. While the legal process crawls forward, the online community continues to move at lightning speed, theorizing, accusing, and sometimes crossing into illegality. The swatting incident aired by ABC7 and TMZ proved how quickly obsession can turn into danger. False emergency calls, doxing, and harassment have become collateral damage in the digital hunt for justice. Each of these acts carries its own legal risk, not only for perpetrators but also for those who amplify misinformation. Police departments nationwide now warn that crowdsourced justice often undermines real investigations, exposing witnesses and suspects alike to unnecessary harm. For David, the threat is double-edged. Every new rumor forces him deeper into hiding, and every silence fuels more speculation. The divide between public opinion and legal proof has rarely been so wide. In the court of the internet, stories require no verification, only belief. In a courtroom, belief means nothing without evidence. The LAP's official stance remains cautious. The investigation is ongoing. We ask for patience and accuracy. Those words echo like a willing to follow. Fans, critics, and journalists all demand closure, yet the process cannot be rushed. Real justice, unlike digital outrage, moves at the speed of documentation. International coverage continues to magnify the story's reach. Outlets from London to Mumbai to Sao Paulo still follow every minor development. They describe the case as a mirror of modern fame, where music, technology, and tragedy intertwine. This global attention ensures that even in silence, the narrative stays alive. Every correction, every clarification, every rumor debunked is translated into headlines around the world. For the family, that attention feels like both a weapon and memorial. Behind the headlines, everyone involved lives inside a different version of purgatory. Celeste's family grieves in private, waiting for the autopsy's final word. Investigators sift through data, one file at a time. The artist remains isolated, his career in freefall, his name permanently tied to a tragedy he insists he did not cause. Each party carries its own kind of sentence: grief, guilt, suspicion, or exile. From a legal standpoint, the primary risks ahead are clear. Civil litigation: a wrongful death claim by the Rivas Hernandez family, if evidence suggests negligence or concealment. Financial scrutiny: forensic accounting of asset transfers to determine intent. Reputational damage: permanent association with the case regardless of outcome. Digital vigilantism: ongoing threats, impersonations, and false reporting. Potential reclassification: if toxicology uncovers controlled substances linked to David's environment, possible escalation to criminal charges. Each of these threads could unravel the fragile balance that now holds the case together. The LAP's internal schedule suggests that toxicology reports could arrive within the next few weeks. Those pages, charts, chemical signatures, and microscopic truths will decide whether this story ends in court or in closure. Investigators say nothing publicly, but insiders describe the atmosphere as tense, expectant. Everyone knows that one result can shift everything. Beyond the headlines and the legal documents lies a larger moral question. What does this case say about the intersection of fame and vulnerability? Celeste's story is no longer just about one girl or one musician. It has become a reflection of how young people search for connection in dangerous places, and how fame, even unwilling fame, can distort accountability. The case has already inspired conversations about digital safety, parental awareness, and the limits of parasocial intimacy. In that sense, the tragedy has done what justice has not yet achieved, and it has changed the conversation.